Count from 1 to 10, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Give me
9.
full voice. Talk like how you can talk for the
1,
presenter.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
One more time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right. All right. I'm gonna just unplug it. I'll leave that on you.
Ten, nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Eight, 9, 10. Mike 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mike 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Good morning, everyone. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Like other people. I guess so.
Do a quick mic check.
Good morning, Mr. Zulu.
Can
you do-
church?
Good morning.
I think so.
Good morning. Okay, great. I heard you. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta be right now. I got everything on this roll for me. I won't be moving.
You may be seated.
Right over.
Yeah, you can't move. You just go right there. Because I think what you got to when you finish, then you're gonna press.
Kindly ensure that all cell phones are off. All rise.
Endeavor Demerit Francis. For honor, Vice President Senate Honorable Jones. For honor, Vice President Joanna Jones Ferguson. For honor, Vice President Ingrid Kiefer. For honor, Acting Vice President Yolanda Beck.
Please stand at attention for the national anthem of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
We all see our Lord. Your victory. Bless you, blessed. None like you. Sing on. Together. Walk on. Till your steady sun falls, open where your heart's wide on the treasures for sure. On your head to the sun. You want me to
For the prayer, which will be rendered by Reverend William Higgins, minister of the Trinity Methodist Church.
Gracious God, we thank you for all your blessings. We thank you for the blessing of this day, for family, for friends, for jobs and opportunities to serve, and all the things that enrich our lives. Today, we thank you for this institution, Industrial Tribunal of the Bahamas. And we pray for all who serve here, the president, the judges, the staff. Our prayer is that rights will be balanced with responsibility, justice tempered with compassion, and we will always serve our country mindful that we are dealing with people who are all your children. May your love empower us. May your mercy move us. May your grace guide us. And may your peace be our constant companion. We pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please remain standing. You may be seated.
Honorable Acting Attorney General Jomo Campbell.
time for moving the wheels. Stages of digital success 2021. Honorable Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Mr. Philip Davis. Honorable Chief Justice, Mr. Ian Winder. Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Public Service, Mr. Fred Mitchell. Honorable Minister of Labor and Immigration, Mr. Keith Bell. Justice of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Mr. John Isaacs. Other justices and retired justices of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. Registrars and former registrars of the Supreme Court. Madam President, Indira Francis, and Vice Presidents of the Industrial Tribunal. Madam Chief Magistrate, Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, and other magistrates, members of the Bahamas Bar, distinguished guests, including Director of the ILO, Decent Work Country Caribbean Office, Mr. Dennis Zulu, immediate past President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Right Honorable Sir Dennis Byron, other distinguished guests here present and online. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my esteemed pleasure to bring remarks on behalf of the Honorable Attorney General, Mr. Ryan Pinder, at this Industrial Tribunal's opening of the legal year 2021. Under the theme, A Time for Moving the Wheels, Stages of Digital Success. I am also pleased to acknowledge the presence of the noted feature speakers, guests, facilitators, and other participants from around the Caribbean and further abroad. It is therefore my singular pleasure to stand here today in what has become known as the precinct for the first smart courts in the Bahamas and the Caribbean region. I note that last year, at the illustrious opening of the tribunal's legal year, the Honorable Attorney General heralded the impressive accomplishments of the tribunal, noting, and I quote, "The tribunal has captured and harnessed the essence of the new digital age in its many firsts during the year 2020 and beyond, with the implementation of the first e-filing platform and case management solution in the Bahamas. Remarkably, the Industrial Tribunal has not only set the standard in the Bahamas, it has also blazed trails in the Caribbean. I wish to congratulate the Industrial Tribunal for maintaining its standard of operations and performance, and also continuing to make remarkable strides in moving the wheels of digitization towards success. In keeping with its progressiveness and modernization and digitization, the Industrial Tribunal has expanded its space with the construction of a fifth smart court and administrative offices, maintaining a world-class standard of procedural best practices and operations. The tribunal has overcome many challenges during the last year, much of it stemming from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the labor force in the Bahamas. The Industrial Tribunal, nevertheless, continues to enhance its e-filing and case management platform, as well as its capability for remote hearings, which has greatly improved the administration of justice in the tribunal. As you can see from where I stand today, in this newly constructed smart court, the Industrial Tribunal has indeed continued to move the wheels towards success in this digital era, demonstrating that it remains on the cutting edge with the innovation and modernization and development that we see exhibited here today. I'm also aware that there is an initiative with the partnership of the NTC to upgrade the tribunal to an industrial court. And I am proud to announce that towards this end, a bill has been drafted for consideration by Parliament. In conclusion, I wish to take this opportunity now to congratulate Madam President and her colleagues on behalf of myself and the Honorable Attorney General for their tireless efforts in continuing to uplift the Industrial Tribunal and ensuring that it maintains world standard operations. May God continue to guide the tribunal, and may God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Affairs and Public Service.
Thank you. And honors all and excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real privilege and honor to be here this morning amongst this August group for the start of the year. I was saying to my colleague on the side that you have to explain to me why the start of the year is in November and not at the 1st of January. But I figured it out for myself because the end of the church year was last night. And so the church year begins. So you are in a holy place. Amen. But nevertheless, it's an honor to be here. This is a body with which I've been associated on a professional level for some time and on a political level for a long time. In 1977, the organization which I chair agreed with the union movement then for the forward movement of labor relations for many changes in the law. And one of those changes came about with the Industrial Tribunal. There is still, of course, some reform to come, and the acting Attorney General has indicated that we are in the process of causing that to happen. And so I hope that that is pleasing and to the body, that it helps your work. Certainly, the people of the country, I think, appreciate a system which allows them easy access, which is cheaper to access than the general courts under the common law. And one thing that's always bothered me, and I think it's fixed, I haven't practiced in a long time, so forgive me, but in the common law, I know that you could not get damages for injured feelings. And I always thought that that was an injustice when you got dismissed. So now that we have unfair dismissal, I think there's a remedy of some sort in that. So thank you again for asking me to say these few words. And with that, I say bless you all.
Labor and Immigration.
Thank you, Madam President, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Chief Justice, Madam President, Vice Presidents, fellow Bahamians, I stand on the established protocol. Good morning. In August 2021, a historic memorandum of understanding was signed between the Progressive Liberal Party and the Joint Trade Union Movement. This MOU paved the way for the stabilization of the industrial relations environment in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. After the general elections of September 2021 and my subsequent appointment as minister, I was given the mandate by our Prime Minister to ensure that the principles outlined in the MOU be implemented with the greatest degree of urgency. In rebuilding the trust among our social partners in the Bahamas and setting goals enshrined in the MOU, one of the common themes from both the worker and employer representatives was the urgent need to transform the Bahamas Industrial Tribunal to better respond to the needs of the labor force in the Bahamas. With this outcry from major stakeholders in the industrial relations environment, the governor of the Bahamas directed the National Tripartite Council, and I am pleased to see that Ms. Sharon Martin and her team is here today, to formulate a plan to transition to tribunal. We are very much aware of the tremendous work being done by you, Madam President, and your staff here at the tribunal, but we saw the need for fundamental statutory changes to the present system of dispute resolution to address the multiple concerns being raised by our social partners. As the Bahamas Industrial Tribunal embarks on another year, I am very pleased to bring these brief words of encouragement at this ceremony. I am aware of the excellent work that you, Madam President, and your fine team here are doing over the past years in addressing the backlog of cases and improving the productivity and efficiency of the tribunal. It is indeed the roadmap of how to operate an effective judicial entity. The 5 smart courts in the Bahamas is an indication of the government's commitment to provide service with excellence. I am particularly pleased with the degree of professionalism displayed and the cooperation within the tribunal and the Department of Labor in the development and implementation of the folio e-filing system, which is now considered as the model for the Bahamas and indeed the Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, this system allows for the smooth and digital transfer of referrals from the Ministry of Labor to the tribunal, while at the same time reduces costs and improves efficiency and productivity. Madam President, the production of the tribunal's annual report is another example of accountability in the public service, and I hold one up here today, and should be duplicated by all other agencies of the government. I applaud you for it. I commend you and our staff at this time for moving the wheels. Madam President, from the inception of the tribunal in 1996, there's been tremendous strides in our efforts to keep pace with challenges in the ever-changing world of labor in the Bahamas. The original purpose of the tribunal was to provide swift justice for the small man that was negatively disadvantaged in employment matters. Today, at the tribunal, I am told, there are at least 5 King's Councils that appear regularly before the tribunal, and instead of simple skeleton arguments to review, Madam President and Vice Presidents are faced with multiple pages of complicated legal briefs and scores of case law from numerous jurisdictions from examination and analysis. Despite these issues, jurists at the tribunal has risen to the challenge and provided strong judgments on behalf of applicants and respondents. Yet still, ladies and gentlemen, there are still those employers that refuse to respect these judgments, knowing that if they do not go to the Supreme Court, they are unenforceable. But I say today, with the help of our good Lord, this administration, and I have the Honorable Prime Minister here today, we will fix the problem and enable the tribunal to grow from strength to strength. Amen. On behalf of the entire management and staff of the Ministry of Labor, I extend congratulations to you, Madam President, and each of you, Vice President, for the fine job that you're doing. May God continue to bless each of you and your family. May God continue to bless our great Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have joining us online, Mr. Dennis Zulu, Director of the ILO Decent Work Team and Office for the Caribbean.
Honorable Prime Minister, just the Chief Justice, Justices of the Court, senior ministers present, let me simply say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure for me to be speaking to you this morning on the occasion of opening the court. I really would love to be there, but unfortunately I'll be sick by the week because I'm only in Nassau in the coming week. So it's anyway indeed a pleasure for me to speak to you this morning. I want to start by saying that the 109th International Labour Conference adopted the global call to action for human-centered recovery from the COVID crisis, referring specifically to the need to reduce disparities in digital access and to the ILO action to strengthen the capacity of labor administrations, labor inspectorates, and other relevant authorities to ensure implementations of rules and regulations. It is worth mentioning to note here that due to the pandemic, many countries across the world, including the Bahamas, had adopted measures targeted at fostering digitalization of judiciary institutions with the aim to improve access to justice and the efficiency of these systems. Indeed, the COVID-19 crisis highlighted these enhanced efforts that were required to improve the inclusiveness of legal institutional frameworks for labor relations. Hence, the ILO has been committed to supporting its constituents in improving access to justice by, as appropriate, revising legal frameworks to extend and protect rights for all, streamlining procedures and reducing costs, and reinforcing the qualifications and capacities of all persons in courts and institutions of dispute prevention and resolution. A series of restrictions on the function of the labor dispute resolution institutions were indeed imposed by many countries across the world. And indeed, many institutions had to close their doors to the public or reduce and adjust operations. This indeed had a negative impact on access to justice. The ILO continues to emphasize that the challenges imposed by COVID-19 pandemic and indeed other crises must be addressed in line with the key principles of good governance of the labor dispute resolution mechanisms, labor dispute resolutions institutions, and particularly with respect to issues related to broad accessibility, equity, inclusiveness, efficiency of institutions, and effectiveness of the procedures, considering a more human-centered approach. Where effective labor dispute resolution mechanisms contribute to the achievement of several sustainable development goals. As you know, Justices and distinguished Prime Minister, we're only 8 years away from SDG 2030. And therefore, aiming access to justice, which relates to SDG 16, and achieving sustainable growth, full and productive employment, and decent work, which are articulated in SDG 8. As such, SDG target 16.3 aims the promotion of the rule of law at the national and international levels and ensuring equal access to justice for all, including about prevention and resolution of labor disputes that can support the achievement of SDG targets 8.1, 8.3, and 8.8. And of course, the decent work agenda, which is articulated in the case of the Bahamas in the decent work country program. The COVID-19 crisis impacted on labor dispute resolution institutions, and this is likely to be affected to be felt longer than expected, especially in places where measures were not taken to provide and ensure access to justice during this very difficult different period. I wish to commend the Industrial Tribunal in the Bahamas for having shown resilience and having been proactive in implementing measures to continue dispensing justice. Indeed, the Industrial Tribunal in the Bahamas has been in the forefront in the Caribbean region of leading the way on how to cope with crisis, but ensuring that access to justice is guaranteed. The ILO is therefore pleased to be associated with the Industrial Tribunal in the Bahamas and is committed to strengthening our collaboration within the framework of the Decent Country Program. Let me, on behalf of the International Labour Organization, and indeed all our partners, commend and congratulate the Industrial Tribunal for this commencement of a new session. I thank you.
Winder, Chief Justice of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
The Industrial Tribunal provides, following genuine attempts at conciliation, an avenue for the worker, his union, and the employer to pursue a cost-effective route to the resolution of a labor dispute. The Industrial Tribunal is an important constituent element in the citizens' arsenal for dispute resolution. It extracts disputes which otherwise would add to the backlog in the Supreme and Magistrates Court. Therefore, in every way possible, the judiciary wholeheartedly promotes and supports the work of the Industrial Tribunal. I readily acknowledge some of the systemic challenges involved in ultimately achieving this goal, but no one can dispute the loftiness of the objective and the commitment of the members of the Industrial Tribunal to achieving them. So today we gather for what has now become an entrenched tradition of marking the opening of the legal year for the tribunal. This event on the calendar of the tribunal has become important, not merely for the ceremonial welcomes and well wishes for the new year, but for the opportunities for stakeholders in this labor endeavor to gather and receive a report on the work of the Industrial Tribunal in the past year. Importantly, it also provides for much stakeholder training, which often accompanies these events. The training program, which begins this afternoon, by the depth of the topics and the quality of the speakers, reflects quite an ambitious undertaking on the part of the organizing team. I unreservedly commend them for their efforts. Before I conclude, Madam President, I wish to commend you on the many initiatives pursued under your tenure as president, resulting in the complete transformation of the image of the tribunal and modernizing its processes. Indeed, it is your digital platform, powered by the Courier software, which stands as the model for the jurisdiction. So, Madam President, on behalf of the wider judiciary, I extend our best wishes to you, your vice presidents, and the entire staff of the Industrial Tribunal for a successful opening and a most productive year ahead. Thank you.
The Honorable Philip Edward Davis, King's Counsel, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
President. Like the Chief Justice, I've not been in these on this side of the bar or bench for many, many years. So I think the vice presidents of the court, and I prefer to say your honors or your leaderships. I can't say your lords or my lords. To my colleagues here present with me, and to all the well-wishers here present. It was in 1996 when the government amended the provisions of the Industrial Relations Act to establish the Bahamas Industrial Tribunal. It was envisioned that the new system to resolve trade disputes in a fair, cost-effective, and timely manner would transform the industrial relations environment in the Bahamas. The original goal of the tribunal was to expeditiously hear, inquire into, and investigate every dispute which is before it, and all matters affecting the merits of such dispute on behalf of employer or employee concerned. Yes, for more than 2 decades, despite the efforts of many, the fight for speedy resolution of trade disputes for the working people of the Bahamas has been slowed, delayed, and in some cases denied. As we celebrate another milestone in the life of the tribunal this morning with this historic opening, I am aware of the significant strides that have been made by President Francis, as was noted by the Chief Justice, and the entire management team of the tribunal to improve efficiency and productivity in the trade dispute mechanism for our country. From the implementation of smart courts, case management protocols, the utilization of mediation and other alternative dispute techniques to reduce the backlog of cases, has enabled the president and vice presidents to address many of the ills that was associated with the tribunal. Your efforts, Madam President, is considered trailblazing. The achievements of the tribunal have been recognized throughout the Caribbean region, as again was noted by the Attorney General, and have been an inspiration and some source of pride for the Bahamas. Ladies and gentlemen, most persons are not aware that in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when many of the services of the government was unable to function in a normal manner, the tribunal
was able to operate using the smart court and subsequently dispose of over 65% of the disputes it received during that period. This is innovation in action, Madam President. And for this, the government and the people of the Bahamas are extremely grateful and appreciative. In November 2021, the government of the Bahamas, in accordance with Section 10 of the National Tripartite Council Act 2015, formally communicated the national policy on matters relating to labor and industrial relations to the National Tripartite Council. One of the fundamental matters contained in the policy was the enactment of legislation to cause the tribunals to, among other issues, enforce its decisions and judgments. My government is of the opinion that this new legislation will forever transform the industrial relations environment and level the playing field for the working people of the Bahamas. I am pleased to advise the public that after extensive consultation with national, regional, and international stakeholders, the executive of the National Tripartite Council has drafted the Industrial Court Bill 2022 and presented it to the Minister of Labor and Immigration for review. I can also announce that the National Tripartite Council has subsequently initiated an additional period of public consultation with national stakeholders, and it is expected that a formal presentation on the draft legislation will be presented to Cabinet for consideration and approval, and consequently tabling for debate and enactment by Parliament. This enactment, ladies and gentlemen, along with the review of the terms and conditions of employment for the entire management and staff of the tribunal, will, in our view, facilitate a stable industrial relations climate in the Bahamas and lead to increased productivity at a national level and cause our economy to grow from strength to strength. Madam President, creative and innovative systems utilized by the staff of the tribunal to bring fair and cost-effective resolution to trade dispute is an indication of your commitment to efficiency in our labor market. I wish to challenge you and your team to expand these creative ideas to other islands in our Commonwealth. As our economy grows and our citizens in other islands find gainful employment outside of New Providence and Grand Bahama, trade disputes will naturally increase, and as such, the tribunal must be responsive and ensure that the dispute resolution protocols are available to these persons in an efficient and cost-effective manner. I also wish to express my thanks and appreciations to the many employers that have supported the president and management team of the tribunal in the execution of their duties and responsibilities. The spirit of social partnership is alive and well in the Bahamas, and we salute and commend the employers that make that special effort to resolve trade disputes in a fair and amicable manner. Ladies and gentlemen, the tradition of the Industrial Tribunal opening ceremony for this legal year affords us all the opportunity to reflect on the importance of this institution to our society and to our national development. I am confident that all workers, and undeniably all citizens and residents that have reason to come before the tribunal, are satisfied with impartiality and efficiency of the trade dispute resolution system. For the avoidance of any doubt, I wish to assure each of you that my government is committed to improving the system of justice as it relates to the working people of the Bahamas. And we will work together with our partners and all stakeholders to ensure that the Industrial Tribunal delivers service with excellence to all citizens and residents of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. If it pleases your ladyships.
Thank you. Honorable Prime Minister Philip Davis, King's Counsel, Honorable Ian Winder, Chief Justice of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Justices of the Court of Appeal, Justices of the Supreme Court, Honorable Fred Mitchell, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Public Service, Honorable Jomo Campbell, Acting Attorney General and Minister of State for Legal Affairs, Honorable Keith Bell, Minister of Labor and Immigration, Vice Presidents, the Right Honorable Dame Joan Sawyer, former President, Court of Appeal and Chief Justice of the Bahamas, the Right Honorable Sir Hartman Longley, former President of the Court of Appeal and Chief Justice of the Bahamas, Sir Brian Marie, former Chief Justice and now sitting Justice of the Court of Appeal, the Right Honorable Sir Dennis Byron, immediate past President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Mr. Bevel Wooding, Executive Director of the Caribbean Agency for Justice Solutions, Mr. Dennis Zulu, Director of International Labor Organization Caribbean Office, members and retired members of the Diplomatic Corps, retired justices of the Court of Appeal, retired justices of the Supreme Court, retired vice presidents of the Industrial Tribunal, registrars, chief magistrate and stipendiary circuit magistrates, Mr. Obie Ferguson, Jr., King's Counsel, representing Miss Permanent Secretaries, other senior government officials, Mr. Dwayne Woods, Acting President of the National Congress of Trade Unions of the Bahamas, Ms. Sharon Martin, Chairman of the National Tripartite Council, Ms. Crystal Rutherford, Chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, trade union leaders, Mr. Reverend Higgs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, welcome to our special sitting. The world continues to wrestle with the effects of the pandemic and its catastrophic impact on world economies. The pandemic has changed the perspective of many people doing business. Labor markets across the globe have drastically been affected. How do we recover? Most of us are actually tired of hearing about the pandemic and the so-called the new normal. Yet others are questioning its true existence and finality. For some persons, it may be over, but for others, there are still some lasting effects which loom and remain unsettled. Many people suffered and are still suffering, both employers and employees. Therefore, it is not over for everyone. The private and public sectors have both learned valuable lessons in this season. We all must now continue to apply these lessons to ensure growth in our legislative reform of the labor law and jurisprudence in the employment sector. This is the time to make decisions with the knowledge we have gained to effect the necessary changes to legislation required to serve the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. As leaders, we must be visionary in our approach to innovation and pragmatic in our efforts at modernization of the procedures and processes which affect access to justice in the labor sector. On my watch as president of the Industrial Tribunal, the struggle to transform and reform the Industrial Tribunal procedures and processes has been an 8-year journey as of June 15, 2022. However, it would be unforgivable if I did not mention the efforts of my predecessor, His Honor Harrison Lockhart, who spent his time fighting the good cause during his term. Upon coming into office, I read the files which he left behind. There were numerous correspondence written to those who had the responsibility to bring about the changes needed to serve the people whom we are responsible to serve. However, there was not sufficient political will to make the necessary changes. The Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, at the opening of the COP27 stated in a speech and said, "It takes the simple political will to make the definable difference to serve whom we are here to serve." It is in this vein that the Industrial Tribunal recognizes the unrelenting efforts of the National Tripartite Council in recognizing the need to recommend the necessary legislative changes. This is in accordance with its mandate as the statutory body responsible for addressing all labor-related matters. This exercise is done through the participation of the government, private sector, and unions, and they have the responsibility to advise the government on all labor-related issues while remaining compliant with the international standards and conventions. The NTC has continually expressed the need for the government to address the important issues for the Industrial Tribunal to have the necessary power to enforce its own judgments. I would like to share a particular passage of scripture that gives me guidance as I lead this Industrial Tribunal as the president. and I hope it will assist those who practice in these precincts. As written in Deuteronomy 24, verse 14 and 15, it says, "You shall not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, whether he is one of your countrymen or one of your aliens who is in your land, in your towns. You shall give him his wages on this day before the sun sets, for he is poor and sets his heart on it, so that he will not cry out against you to the Lord, and it becomes a sin in you." It is the intention of the tribunal to take every effort to avoid the transgressions noted in this scripture and adjudicate fairly upon the rights of the workers. These efforts are reflected in the phases of our digitization journey. Phase 1, modernization and digitization. Phase 1 of the expansion of the Industrial Tribunal included the first smart courts for the Bahamas, which were officially opened on the 2nd of October, 2020. In February 2020, we initiated the plan to upgrade the Industrial Tribunal's 4 courtrooms with modifications with the most up-to-date courtroom technology to transform them into smart courts. This phase made it possible for the tribunal to meet its constitutional mandate and recognize in the Caribbean region as a pioneer for the implementation of technologies and procedural best practices for the court management during difficult times, while many courts struggled to chart a course through the COVID-19 pandemic. Unprecedented levels of work were received from the Department of Labor in 2021. This created administrative strains for the members of the tribunal and staff of the Industrial Tribunal. The registry was bursting at its seams and had reached its maximum storage capacity of files. There was a 2021 cleanup exercise of the registry, which involved a joint effort to box and catalog case files for storage at the government archives facility. I commend the judges and the staff who are working incredibly hard during this period under review. During this period, the innovative systems implemented by the Caribbean Agency for Justice Solutions were tried and tested to our satisfaction. The Industrial Tribunal was able to thrive by the implementation of these innovations within the institution, which operated efficiently, serving the Bahamian justice system and its users. Our virtual platforms facilitated both New Providence, which has 4 courts, and the Northern Region, which has 1 courtroom. The Industrial Tribunal embarked on building a new future with sustainable systems to ensure that its work was done so that we could report on the challenges and successes to the public as responsible custodians. I'm now going to talk about the benefits of phase 1, enhancing service, increasing access. We as members of the Industrial Tribunal are content in this newly digitized environment. As we charted this course in the first smart courts in the region and kept pace with the number of matters being filed. During this time, the workload tripled at the Industrial Tribunal. The Department of Labor at the end of May 2021, mid-year, had forwarded 321 certificate of referrals. The process of delivery at the Industrial Tribunal during this period provided a service to the public at a minimal cost, and we are confident that it had been fair and equitable. As one of the digital era judges at the Industrial Tribunal in this period under review, I believe I can honestly speak for all of the members when I say that this period has been extremely invigorating, productive, and rewarding all at the same time. We were able to fulfill our goals of professionalism, excellent delivery of justice, and a speedy conclusion of matters. We have also ensured that the standards have been articulated and documented for the members of the Industrial Tribunal and the court staff. In this regard, I note that in addition to our annual report for the period 2021, we have published and issued a single document comprising our policies, procedures, and a professional code of conduct 2022 for the members of the Industrial Tribunal. This is to ensure that the professional standards at the Industrial Tribunal are maintained and can be easily referenced as time moves on. This document can be found in hard copy and on our interactive website. We have excelled, but we also recognize that there is still much more that can be done, especially if we work together harmoniously with our stakeholders. We will continue to strive to retain excellence in the service we provide to the public. We will continue to improve the services we offer and not rely on past accomplishments. Modernizing case management. Case management hearings under the period of review have also been successful. All members of the Industrial Tribunal have been settling matters quickly. For the period 2021, a total of 184 matters have been settled between the parties with the assistance of the judges in court. Even our newest member, Acting Vice President Mrs. Rionda Gadet, has proven that proper case management is an effective tool at any stage of proceedings, which is evidenced by the work she has completed in her short stint. We use the case management hearing to drive the process. Files move much faster along the administrative process by the judge's issuance of court orders. The electronic case management system generates reports allowing continuous status checks for all case files in the industrial tribunal. We can track whether the parties are in compliance with the court orders issued by the judge to prevent unnecessary delays. Through the case management hearing process, the industrial tribunal is provided an early opportunity to close many frivolous matters that have been filed in record time. For instance, in a case where a claim is solely based on statutory right, the matter, when going through the process, comes to the attention of the judge and therefore can be dealt with swiftly. New insights into performance. In view of the increasing number of matters being filed at the industrial tribunal, the need for information quality control has grown. Consequently, a statistical data section has been set up to verify the manual and digital data being generated at the industrial tribunal. This section collects the statistics from all the judges and compiles data generated from various information management systems for analysis and to produce reports for publication in our annual report. The work of the statistical data section is aided by the Sightlines platform of the Courier Court Management Suite. The Sightlines system allows the industrial tribunal to assess daily, monthly, and annual performance related to administrative operations, service delivery, and judicial efficiency. This crucial performance management tool allows the president, judicial officers, and management staff to identify service bottlenecks, make informed decisions regarding resource allocation and capacity building needs. The data analyzed in Sightlines also provides invaluable insights into the patterns and emerging trends in the Bahamas labor market. The Industrial Tribunal has also implemented staff guidelines and articulated the benefits of proper data entry, as well as the consequences and penalties for non-entry of data in the systems. Implementing the staff guidelines involves a review exercise and the writing of clear job descriptions for all staff members to adapt to the online environment. The implementation of Sightlines performance management tool launched in this period has been a huge achievement for the Industrial Tribunal. This exercise has been ongoing for 2.5 years and phased over the period. It has resulted in the establishment of a standardized format for the capture and publication of statistics for all courts of the tribunal. The details of all cases are jointly agreed between the judge of each court and the statistical data section of the tribunal. The judge must sign off on the generated reports to verify the status of each case and to ensure that our attaché, our case management system, is kept up to date. This is to mitigate the potential for data inaccuracies and false reporting. Reducing the time to disposition. This is a new era in justice and administration in the Bahamas. We started by implementing methods to change the mindset of persons to achieve this goal. This didn't happen overnight. We charted these waters by crossing paths to a unified destination. It has been my philosophy for the management of the Industrial Tribunal to concentrate on performance excellence. This naturally caused me to be mindful of how easy it is for the Industrial Tribunal to find itself in the position of a new backlog of files. The strategy adopted by the Industrial Tribunal was an important component, and it was to encourage accountability and discipline while exploring ways to fast-track the closure of files. The process is necessary to serve the people of the Bahamas by setting not only standards as guidance, but also meeting international or global standards in the labor market. Constant capacity building has been top priority. Focusing on finding the right fit of personnel for the new digital environment was imperative. We therefore had to develop new compatible job descriptions for the online services being provided by the institution. However, we have met several challenges in the government's approach to human resources and the employment of personnel under the traditional systems presently in place. These processes do not take into consideration the need to incorporate the equivalent online positions which are now necessary in the digitization of the public service. The public service which is now being required under the new normal to provide online services in every sector of government. Phase 2, expansion and transformation. Sorry. Another year, additional new precincts for the Industrial Tribunal. Phase 2 expansion was commenced on June 6, 2022. The Industrial Tribunal has now been further expanded by a decision to make permanent appointments of 2 additional vice presidents, which took effect 1st July and 4th July 2022, respectively. Therefore, to accommodate these appointments, the Industrial Tribunal acquired additional office space in Safari Square building needed for this expansion. Today, on the 21st of November, 2022, the Industrial Tribunal publicly celebrates the opening of this new courtroom of the Industrial Tribunal. Thanks to the responsiveness and the support of the Minister Fred Mitchell and his team, the culmination of this new 5th court, outfitted with this latest technology of which we are presently enjoying, and the transition of all the procedural process of the Industrial Tribunal facilitated by our suite of technological systems, has made this institution a tribunal of excellence. The Bahamas being the first among the industrial tribunals within the Caribbean region to have successfully moved fully to an e-filing platform and digital case management solution. This official opening of the new courtroom of the Industrial Tribunal on this special occasion represents another important historic milestone. There is a statutory obligation to report on the work of the Industrial Tribunal pursuant to Section 66A of the Industrial Relations Act 1970. In earlier years, other venues were used by the Industrial Tribunal to host a special reception to report on its work. Suitable facilities to accommodate such auspicious proceedings were necessary, and we want to thank the government for its foresight and the necessary funding to realize this new project and to be able to sit today to report on the tribunal's work in such modern accommodations. The next phase of development promises even more advancement for the Industrial Tribunal. We fully intend to continue our efforts to perform our constitutional mandate. I'm now going to elaborate more on the transformation of the tribunal, improving access to justice. The tribunal's modernization thrust has seen the rapid implementation of a comprehensive suite of administrative and operational tools and services with the support from the Caribbean Agency for Justice Solutions, including but not limited to: 1, Courier Court Management Suite, providing electronic filing, case management, and performance management systems. 2, Captura Courtroom Management System, enabling automated capture of court proceedings, seamless integration with the case management system, and virtual courtroom management services. Dedicated internal virtual assistants, known as DIVA, providing daily in-courtroom support for hearings. Stakeholder Notifications and Alerts Program, known as SNAP, allows applicants and respondents to be notified of hearings and case milestones via mobile text messaging. Refers System, automated transmission of certificate of referrals from the Department of Labor. Support services for special events, multimedia, video production, and social media for events like today. Website domain and hosting management services, providing 24/7 public access to essential tribunal services, including e-filing, calendaring, and decision publications. We also have a pilot called Courtex, Court Administration, introducing workflow, automation, and digitization to core administrative roles and functions, including human resource management, accounting, and asset procurement and contract management. We also have another pilot, the Pro Bono Assisted Legal Services, known as PALS, a technology-assisted facilitation providing economically disadvantaged parties with access to pro bono legal services via hosted legal representative directory. And last, we have the Industrial Relations Virtual Library, a framework which is being developed to deliver a range of multimedia resources to assist the public and legal representatives in accessing the service of the Industrial Tribunal, understanding key processes and procedures, and searching the database of precedents applicable to labor relations. Success for justice. The success of digital transformation at the tribunal is also providing a template for other public sector institutions. This is evident, particularly as it relates to improving data-driven decision-making, enhancing service quality through automation, and defining measurable performance standards. The achievements of the Industrial Tribunal represent seminal progress for the delivery of justice in the Bahamas. It also establishes a standard for digital transformation in industrial relations in the eyes of the regional community and in the international labor arena. To this end, every effort must be extended to ensure that the continued success and sustainability of this modernization process. We are pleased to launch today also the Tribunal's new website, which includes updated, insightful features with the goal of continuing to make justice more easily accessible to all. We have created a clean, modern design to help our users not only to locate information, but to more easily access our digital services. We have an e-filing link on our homepage, user guides to allow for greater clarity and ease for self-represented litigants and attorneys, and a new exciting and interesting videos to help users to connect. It is also my pleasure to formally present today the 2021 annual report to the public. The information contained therein reports on the administration of the work of the tribunal for the year ending 2021. In conclusion, the scripture says that David fulfilled his purpose for his generation. I learned through this teaching that I too must fulfill my purpose for my time in this generation. In September 2006, a paper I wrote and published entitled The Modern Approach to Court Administration was delivered in Canada at the 14th Triennial Conference of the Commonwealth Magistrate and Justices Association. This arose out of what I felt was a God-given mandate to modernize and innovate the justice sector. After the failure of the system to deliver justice following the brutal murder of my only brother in 1992. This has been my mission since my first appointment to the judiciary as an assistant registrar for probate in 1999. I had reservations about hosting these official events in 2022, but I realized that I am humbled and very privileged to have been given a voice. I can only run my race and do the best I can as the leader of this industrial tribunal. I may not always get it right, but I am prepared to run my race and to give account for my stewardship as president of the industrial tribunal. Leaders must serve faithfully to the end of their race. I'm biblically advised that no one can argue about his or her journey with the Creator. It matters not what the world thinks. You must do what you have to do. This bench, as you can see, is a full female bench. Expanded by more brains, beauty, and elegance. It is noteworthy that the two former registrars of the Court of Appeal, Vice President Sharada Ferguson and Vice President Ingrid Cooper Brooks, have both joined the Industrial Tribunal as the newest substantive holders of office of Vice President. I formally welcome both of you to the tribunal. I trust you will find the work fulfilling. In addition, we have Ms. Rionda Godet, a talented and seasoned attorney at law who accepted to do a short stint of 5 months during the absence from office of Vice President Simone Fitzcharles with the tribunal. I congratulate her on her appointment to the tribunal and wish her a warm welcome. I would also like to congratulate the Honorable Mrs. Simone Fitzcharles on her appointment as acting Supreme Court Justice. This afternoon, the tribunal will be hosting a seminar themed A Day of Solidarity. I wish to invite you to join the upcoming seminar being hosted at Margaritaville Resort in the Compass Rose Ballroom at 2 p.m. today in honor of the father of labor, our very own Sir Randall Fawkes, who is this year's honoree. Our lively and invigorating session will incorporate our keynote speaker, Mr. Dennis Zulu of the ILO Caribbean office. You will learn more about our tech platforms in depth and how to navigate the processes in the Industrial Tribunal using our cutting-edge technology. I also wish to advise that there will be a cocktail reception from 6 to 8 following the seminar. If you can bear with me just for a little further to give thanks to those who have contributed to making today's event possible. Special thanks. I especially wish to single out the Honorable Prime Minister. I am honored for gracing the Industrial Tribunal with his illustrious presence, making this an historic and indelible event, and adding another first on the mantle of the Industrial Tribunal. Your statements here, Mr. Prime Minister, this morning gives birth to my vision for the reform agenda for the Industrial Tribunal 2016, another document which was published by this court. We are still in the gestational period, and we have labored to bring forth the wherewithal required to fulfill our mandate, which is ease of access to justice for the common man. We are taught in scripture to speak those things that are not as though they were. Mr. Prime Minister, you have spoken prophetically and profoundly into the Industrial Tribunal. For this, we say thank you. We thank all our special guests who have brought remarks during our proceedings. The Honorable Chief Justice, Mr. Ian Winder, the Honorable Jomo Campbell, Attorney General, Minister of State for Legal Affairs, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Public Service, Mr. Fred Mitchell, the Honorable Minister of Labor and Immigration, Mr. Keith Bell, Mr. Dennis Zulu, ILO Caribbean Office. We say thank you. The Industrial Tribunal also thanks the Office of the Attorney General and makes special mention of the Acting Permanent Secretary, Dr. Donna Miller, and the Finance Officer, Therina Cunningham and Jenny Henderson, for their tireless efforts in making today possible within a week, because the preparations were short. We say thank you. That's God in the public service right there. The tribunal also thanked the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Public Service for their support in the acquisition of the necessary facilities and infrastructure of this expansion exercise. The Industrial Tribunal further thanks Mr. Bevel Wooding, Executive Director of the Caribbean Agency for Justice, and his team for their ongoing contributions to facilitate the training, capacity building, and integration of our digital tools, as well as for supporting the smooth operation behind the scenes of today's events. Thanks to all who have taken their time to join these proceedings in person and online. A special thank you to our landlords who worked extremely hard, who were persistent in their efforts in preparing this space for the new smart court in record time. We would like to thank the NTC for their continued drive and consultation platforms with all of the social partners and stakeholders on the issues that touch and concern the Industrial Tribunal that need to be addressed urgently. We hope that these efforts lead to a desirable outcome. To our social partners, members of the bar, and legal advocates, I wish to say thank you for your continued support and cooperation. I wish to thank Reverend Higgs for inviting the Industrial Tribunal to worship at Trinity Methodist Church and allowing us to take part in their Thanksgiving service yesterday. We felt privileged to be participating in the program. I also wish to thank you for your acceptance of my invitation to join these proceedings today and to deliver a special prayer for this historic event. I would especially like to thank the hardworking judges and staff of the Industrial Tribunal for their initiative, commitment, and dedication to the important work of the Industrial Tribunal. We will continue to do our work as unto the Lord and in the service of the people of the Bahamas. I look forward to the camaraderie with my sister judges as we move the tribunal to another level of success, continually raising the standard of excellence in the future. I thank you for all your continued support, and I trust you will keep your enthusiasm as we work together as a powerful dream team, each of you bringing to the table special gifts and talents to contribute to the future success of the Industrial Tribunal. I wish to personally thank the staff of the Office of President who worked tirelessly with me in and day out. I ask that you continue to do your best for the country and work as you work unto the Lord. Thank you to each and every one for your participation today. Finally, Honorable Mr. Prime Minister, I thank you for officially declaring this courtroom and the legal year of the Industrial Tribunal open. To God be the glory for great things he has done. May God bless you and God bless our beloved Bahamas. Thank you.
Yes. Refreshments will be served.